Have you ever stopped to think about how your cat really sees you? Do they see you as a superior being, another cat, or just that human who serves the food? The answer might be very different from what you imagine, and today, in this video, I'm going to show you how cats actually perceive us, based on studies, feline behavior, and observations that might completely change the way you interact with your kitty. But before we get into it, let me just say, stick with me until the end, because what I'm going to share later on could totally change the way you understand your cat's behavior at home. Seriously, and if you love cats as much as I do, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. There's a lot more content like this coming your way, full of curiosities, science, and super useful tips for your day-to-day life with your pet. So let's get into it. When we look at our cats, we see a cute, mysterious little creature, sometimes affectionate, and sometimes not so much, right? But what about the other way around? How does your cat see you? Well, studies conducted by experts in animal behavior have revealed something really interesting. Cats don't actually see us as a completely different species, at least not in the way that dogs do. For example, you see, dogs tend to recognize humans as separate beings. They adjust their behavior accordingly, treating us like part of a pack, but clearly different. Cats? Not quite. Cats actually tend to see us as giant, clumsy cats. That's right. To your cat, you're not some alien species. You're just a much bigger, slower, and less graceful member of their feline group. They may even treat you like they would treat another cat, rubbing against you, kneading you with their paws like they would with their mother, bringing you gifts like a toy, or worse, a dead bug, or even grooming you with little licks. These behaviors aren't random. They're part of how cats communicate with those they consider part of their social circle. But here's the twist. While they see us as part of their group, they're also very aware of how weird and uncoordinated we are, at least by feline standards. Imagine how strange we must look to a creature that can land perfectly on a narrow ledge or silently stalk a toy across the room, and then sees us tripping over our own feet or knocking things over. So, when your cat stares at you with that half-judging, half-curious look, maybe, just maybe, they're trying to figure out how such a big, goofy cat ended up in their territory. And there's more. Some researchers believe that cats might not even realize we can't understand all of their signals, so when they're meowing, purring, twitching their tails, or blinking slowly at you, they might actually think they're being totally clear. To them, they're speaking cat, and it's your job to keep up. And that's exactly why they often rub their face against your leg, curl up and sleep on your lap, make biscuits with their paws, or even give you gentle little bites. These behaviors are actually very common between cats themselves. They're natural ways of showing affection, belonging, and even strengthening social bonds within their group. In other words, when your cat does that to you, it's like they're saying, "You're part of my feline family." And what an honor that is, right? Because cats are selective. They don't show this kind of behavior to just anyone. If your cat has chosen to do this with you, it means they deeply trust you, feel safe around you, and recognize you as someone. In their inner circle, every gesture carries meaning. When they rub their face on you, they're leaving their scent behind, marking you as part of their territory and someone they care about. When they nap on your lap, they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position, a true sign of trust. And the famous making biscuits? That's a behavior they learn as kittens while nursing, and when they do it in adulthood, it means they're relaxed and content. It's a memory of comfort and safety. Even those gentle little love bites, as odd as they may seem, are a form of affection or social interaction, very common among bonded cats. So next time your cat does one of these things, remember, it's more than just behavior. It's pure feline language, and you're being included in that secret code. Enjoy. It's because being accepted by a cat like that is one of the most sincere expressions of love they can give. By the way, if you're already finding this fascinating, drop a comment below saying, "My cat sees me as an equal." Seriously, I really want to know, did any of you already suspect this? Have you ever had that feeling that your cat was treating you like one of them, or were you totally surprised by this info? Sometimes we notice these little behaviors in our daily lives, but have no idea what they really mean. And once you find out, everything starts to make so much more sense, right? And take this moment to share this video with someone else who also loves cats, a friend, a family member, anyone who's always talking about how mysterious their cat is. They'll definitely appreciate understanding more about what's really going on inside the mind of these fascinating little creatures. Because the more we understand them, the stronger our bond becomes, and the happier our cats are too. Now, going back, unlike dogs, who were domesticated thousands of years ago to live alongside humans and learn to understand human commands and emotions, cats have maintained a certain level of independence to this day. They do live with us. Yes, they enjoy our company, accept affection, and form bonds, but all of that happens on their own terms. They follow their own logic. They're not animals that obey automatically or seek to please you at any cost, and that's exactly what makes the relationship with cats so unique, and at the same time, often misunderstood by people who expect the same kind of interaction they would get from a dog. This means that their perception of us is based much more on social interactions from the feline world than on any human understanding. In other words, they're not trying to think like us, they're simply being cats, communicating the way cats naturally do with one another. That's why so many behaviors that seem weird to us, like your cat staring at you for a long time, blinking slowly, rolling over to expose their belly, or totally ignoring you, are actually clear forms of communication. For example, when a cat stares at you and blinks slowly, that's a sign of trust and calm. It's the feline version of a smile. When they roll over and show you their belly, it's not always an invitation for petting. It's a signal of vulnerability and trust, like saying, "I feel safe with you," and when they ignore you, it might seem cold, but in many cases, that's just their way of respecting both your space and theirs. In the feline world, forcing interactions is a big no. So, the more we understand these signs, the better our coexistence becomes, and the fewer misunderstandings we'll have. And there's more. Cats are also incredibly attentive to our body language and daily habits. Even though they often seem distant or indifferent, they're always watching, whether it's the tone of your voice, the way you move, or even your daily routines. They can sense when you're sad, anxious, or happy. It might not seem like it, but these quiet little observers pick up on subtle changes in our behavior. And the most impressive part, some even change their behavior depending on your mood. For example, if you're feeling sad, you might notice your cat stays closer, becomes quieter, or even avoids causing trouble. If you're happy and more energetic, they might get more playful and lively too. But the most curious thing is that, despite all this sensitivity, they still act like what they are. Well, cats, that means with all the independence, unpredictability, and personality we know so well, they don't stop being true to their nature just because they sense how you feel. This means that even though they understand you, they won't obey you just out of obedience. Unlike dogs, who often obey to please, cats act according to what makes sense to them, if they feel like it, if it's convenient, or if it fits their feline logic. And that's not a lack of love or connection. Quite the opposite. That's exactly the beauty of the relationship with cats. They choose to be with you. Nothing is forced. When a cat decides to follow you, watch you, comfort you, or simply lie down beside you, it's because they want to, because they feel it's worth being there with you. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that cats don't see the world the same way we do. Literally, cats' vision is adapted to see better in the dark, detect fast movements, and recognize shapes even in low light, but with fewer colors. This means that when your cat looks at you, they see you in a completely different way than we humans do. You might appear a bit more blurred to them, with less vibrant colors after all. Cats have dichromatic vision, meaning they mainly see in shades of blue and green and have difficulty perceiving reds and oranges. But even though they lose some color perception, They make up for it with an incredible ability to detect movement and shapes, which is essential for a nocturnal hunter like them. But the most interesting part is that for cats, vision isn't the only sense that matters. They also recognize you by your scent, which is a unique signature for them, by your voice, which they learn to distinguish among other household sounds, and even by the sound of your footsteps, which are so familiar. They can identify you just by the noise you make when you walk. You know when your cat comes running just by hearing you open the food cabinet? That's not just hunger, it's memory, connection, and routine. They associate that specific sound with mealtime, but also with care, interaction, and safety. For cats, these little sound and smell cues are fundamental to understanding the world around them and to strengthening their bond with you. And if you have more than one cat, you've probably noticed that each one behaves differently with you, right? That happens because they form an individual perception of each human in the household, almost like they catalog the family members. They observe each person, figuring out who gives the most attention, who plays more, who feeds them, and even who is more reserved. They know exactly who they can safely ignore, who they prefer to avoid, and who they enjoy spending the most time with. This evaluation is based on behavior, routines, and even the temperament of each human. It's as if, within the small feline universe they've built inside your home, each person has a unique profile, and the cat interacts with each one. Accordingly, this individual perception helps the cat decide how to act, where to position themselves, and even what kind of affection or interaction to offer. So the way your cat behaves with you might be completely different from how they act with someone else, and that's totally natural. Understanding this dynamic makes us realize just how observant and selective cats are. They really pay attention to details and create personalized relationships within the home environment. It also explains why sometimes a cat can be very affectionate with one person and more reserved or distant with another. All of this is part of how your cat sees you in the small feline universe they've built inside your home, a universe full of rules, hierarchies, and bonds that, although different from ours, are just as important to their well-being. Now, the most surprising part, some cats show clear signs of real, emotional, and deep affection, something that for a long time scientists believed was exclusive to dogs. For years, the prevailing idea was that cats were more independent, distant, and less emotionally attached to humans, but recent studies have completely changed this perception. Recent research has shown that cats can form attachment bonds very similar to those babies form with their human parents. This means they truly miss your presence when you're not around, seek comfort and security when you are nearby, and can even show signs of stress or anxiety during prolonged absence. So that myth that cats are cold, distant, and don't feel anything? Forget it, cats do feel, just in their own way. It's a subtler, more discreet kind of affection that can sometimes be hard to interpret if you're not used to the feline world. They show love and attachment in ways that aren't always obvious, but are very real and meaningful. Whether it's in the small ways they maneuver to stay close to you, the way they purr, the moments they seek your lap, or even in their long gazes, these are always cats express this deep emotional bond. So next time someone says cats are indifferent, you know better. They have feelings, yes, just in their own unique way, within the logic and personality of felines. So if you have a cat or several, know that you are more important than you think. You're not just the human who shows up to feed them or clean the litter box. You are a fundamental part of your cat's social, emotional, and even territorial structure. They recognize you, understand your presence and energy, accept you or not, depending on their mood, and build with you a unique and special relationship that only the two of you truly understand. This relationship goes far beyond what most people imagine. It's a silent connection made up of small gestures, glances, and shared moments that mean so much in the feline world. Knowing this completely changes the way you relate to your cat, because you start to understand that to them, you're more than just a provider of food. You're a reference point, a source of security, a true companion, and if you've made it this far, seriously, you're one of us. You're someone who values this rich and nuanced feline universe. Go ahead and comment down below. I stayed until the end. My cat is my family. I love to see who has followed all this content with care and attention. And of course, don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more curiosities, practical tips, and amazing secrets from the world of cats coming your way, prepared especially for those who love these furry friends as much as we do Dotto. And don't forget to share this video with someone who also needs to understand how cats really see humans, because believe me, it changes everything in your relationship with them. Thank you so much for watching until now, and see you in the next video. And while you're at it, give your cat some affection for me today, because now you know they understand much more than they show, and that every gesture of theirs is a special form of communication.